Welcome in. How's everyone doing? Hey, Johnny.
Hey.
Welcome
How you
back.
doing, Raj? Thank you very
Good.
much.
How are you?
Good.
We're seeing the.
Is that music coming from my computer or the stream or what?
It's for the stream, yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yep. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Hello. How's everyone doing today? How's your trading, Johnny?
I think I'm might be down just a little bit. I'm pretty flat. I had, let me see, where's my I'm pretty flat. Let me see. I had I'm pretty close to break even right now. Had a pretty I was having some issues this morning. I was up late, not getting sleep, and then coming to the charts. You know how it goes. You jump in, you get a little FOMO, you get chopped up a little bit. So I recovered from the chop, and then decided I'm going to chill a little bit. So my guess is your system was working really well today, because that dump for me, once we were chopping around in that range, it was a little dangerous for me, but I imagine your levels were probably spot on, because mine were off. I did have a really nice setup that I'm down to show you guys, that came from my AI generated levels. But it was, because it was chopping around a little bit in there, it kind of didn't make my entry the best. But I ended up getting about $1,000 move out of that consolidation. Unfortunately, I was in drawdown at the time, so I basically just brought myself up to break even.
Got it. I see you're just taking base hits on your stream there.
Exactly. Just trying to take some base hits, because that's all it's offering me right now. It's kind of chopping around down at the lower end of the range, and it's kind of meaningless to try and catch bounces right now, because you can't hold them. So they're basically going up, and I'm just trying to catch some quick scalps.
Makes sense. Yep.
What about yourself? How's your trading going today?
I didn't trade today. I have a rule that says if I don't quite feel 100%, I'm not going to trade. Every time I've broken that rule, it doesn't work. So that's the one rule I follow.
That's a great rule.
Yeah, if I don't feel it, I'm not gonna
Nice.
trade.
I
Convict
might have talked
Trader.
about this before on what's that?
I was just reading a comment here
Oh,
from
nice.
Convict Trader. They just passed their eval.
Nice. Congrats,
Congratulations.
convict. Now it's time to go full port, max size and no stop loss now that you got your funded account.
No, 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 no.
Just kidding. Yeah, so I think I was talking about it before, that when every time I would go out like with my friends or whatever and have some drinks and I would be hungover the next morning, there was pretty much 100% correlation uh, from hangover to negative P&L.
Oh
So
wow.
that's my big no-no. Yours is if you're not feeling 100%. Mine is if I go
Yeah,
out the night before and have some drinks or something, I got to chill the next day or else my
right.
P&L is going to pay for it.
If you notice a pattern that plays out every single time, it's kind of stupid to avoid that. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, if you're down to get started, I am. I didn't.
Yeah. Do you
Is
want to
that
do a
cool,
quick recap of what we talked about
Raj?
last time?
Cool. Sure. Let me actually. Yeah. Let me actually pull up that slideshow that I had last time, real quick, and I'll just real quickly go over it. Let's see. Cool. So yeah, let me get. There we go. Okay. So last time we were talking about using AI to improve your trading, and I didn't really get into the weeds with kind of technicals and prompting because I was trying to go high level. First of all, I wonder, Raj, is there a way to tell? Do you have the ability to do a poll in here?
Yeah, I do.
You do? I'm wondering, could you put out a poll that asks how if people are experienced with using AI or not at all? I'd kind of like to know if people have like no experience or just a little bit of experience or they're pretty much experts. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and kind of go through this really quickly. So I was doing the high level, how to use AI to improve your trading, just giving out some ideas and how I use AI to improve my trading. And I didn't really get into the weeds, but very briefly, let's go over this. Really, the uses I see in using AI is to keep yourself accountable, process complex data. And then, for my purposes, I use it to spot where institutions interact with price and liquidity via order flow. And then support rule-based decisions instead of impulse, essentially just making sure that you're staying on track. If you have a system, you can check in with your AI, and Raj, I think you do that on a daily basis as well. And then iterate on your strategy faster with clear feedback. And that's just essentially if you have a bunch of data and say you're testing a strategy, having the ability to test different stop loss distances, different targets, whether or not you place a break even on a trade or not. When you have a bunch of data and you include the candlestick data, you have the ability to really refine your trade setups based on the data, as opposed to just taking your best guess at what a good stop is going to be or a good target is going to be. And most of you guys probably trade with dynamic profit targets. But what you could know is whether or not it's more efficient and you'll have a better success rate / P&L while minimizing drawdown if you put in a break even, something like that. So here are some example prompts that I went over last time. I'll be happy to talk about those. I think it's probably important to go over the best practices for using AI really quickly. Provide the data, and what this comes down to is don't rely completely on AI to give you good data. Like if you're asking it to go out to find price action, it's 99% of the time going to give you bogus information. Streamline repetitive tasks. And this comes with, working through your own workflow, your trading routine. If you find that you're going to Forex Factory, every day, for instance, you can use the Futures Desk platform because it has it right there. But if you want something outside of like your platform to talk about macroeconomics for the week or any upcoming red folder news event, You can schedule it with ChatGPT. So mine every morning at 6:30, it will proactively reach out to me and tell me what I have on the calendar for that day. And then at the beginning of the week, it'll tell you what to look forward for the week, so that if you have news on Wednesday, you might be looking for some range trading on Tuesday, for instance. Personalize your AI, use its memory. Essentially, what this comes down to is like if AI is communicating with you in a way that you don't like, if it's too wordy, if it is too casual, wanting to get straight to the point, say that to it, and then make sure it commits it to memory. And then one of the big things is check for accuracy at every step. So when you're using AI, there are going to be a lot of touch points that you have with it, and you need to make sure that at each step you're checking the quality of what's being output, or else at the end, you're going to have, messy data or data that doesn't make sense, and you don't really know where to narrow it down, where it went wrong in the process. So that's why it's important to check for accuracy at every step. I'll skip some of the strategize with AI. This is a really important one, strategizing with AI before you task it. So basically what I'm talking about there is you want to make sure that you're having like a huddle session with it where it doesn't go off and do something, it doesn't go off and start coding or something like that. Essentially, you're just delineating that this is a discussion to strategize what you want to accomplish, and then you're trying to navigate with it what the best way is going to be to accomplish it. So that step by step, you're making sure that each step is basically approved by you before it jumps the gun and starts doing something you don't want it to do. And then maybe it takes 5 minutes to finish the prompt, and then you realize that's not what you want. That's never good, wasting time. So think of it kind of like an employee, right? If you're talking to an employee, you want to make sure you have a good game plan going ahead. You want to make sure the employee understands what the objective is, so that, it doesn't end up giving you, data that they spent, 5 minutes on, 10 minutes on gathering that you don't even care about. So strategize with it. Let's see. Let it get to know you. Just more kind of emphasis on this. Talk about your strategy with trading. Talk about your goals with trading, what you're doing. You can even use it like a journal, to have check-ins throughout the day. It could proactively reach out to you, or you could just have a kind of wind down session where you're talking about your trading day, what you did right, what you did wrong, using it kind of as a journal. And what I would say is it doesn't replace your journal, but this is an interesting way to use AI because it's able to interact with you. And what I would recommend is to tell your AI, don't sugarcoat stuff, be real with you. And so if you're looking to get feedback from AI after you've given it your performance for the day, you want it to be honest with you. You don't want it sugarcoating stuff all the time and basically just being a yes man for you. So that's kind of goes over what we were talking about last time. This time we were going to get into a little bit more detail, and I'm happy to do that. Raj, last time, I think some of the viewers expressed an interest in doing some live prompting. Happy to do that. The one caveat I think for doing live prompting is it can take some time. So there's some dull moments where you're sitting there waiting for it to spit out some information. So right now what I wanted to do is kind of show everybody how I'm using it, and hopefully it can give some inspiration. And I want to make this very question heavy. So if you have questions, please throw it out there. I want to get to every question that people have. And even if you've never used AI before, that's totally fine. I'm happy to go through some of the basics. And with that, let me show you kind of how I've been using AI and how it's evolved just over the past couple of weeks as I've been working on these projects. Just to give you a quick explanation of the projects I've been working on, I've been exporting order flow data from NinjaTrader. So let me pull this up. Right here. Yeah, so you can see this. My charting, I am always looking at order flow, looking at big sells, big buys, looking at key levels. And here you can see I have a footprint chart, and that footprint chart is essentially printing all the aggressive sells. So this is a delta footprint chart. So if you're not familiar with that, this might not make a lot of sense, but essentially what I'm trying to do is get a gauge on the market where aggression is by price, where aggressive sellers are, where passive sellers are, where passive buyers are, and just a really quick kind of explanation. If you think about it this way, if price is coming down and it's selling hard into a level, looks like we're having a nice little pop here, but it's selling down into a level, right? Like right here, this is a good example of where we had absorption. So we had aggressive buyers come into this level, and you can see that a lot of these orders accumulated right here on this level. So that means we have a passive seller that's imagine, there's a passive seller up there, a seller that wants to essentially take a move to the downside. And imagine he has like an upside down basket, right? And as all these aggressive buy orders are getting pushed into that basket, he's accumulating a sell position. So a lot of times you can, when you're seeing that in the footprint chart, it can be an indication that, number one, price is being absorbed up there. And number two, if we have follow-up with aggressive selling after that passive selling, you could see a potential reversal or pivot point. So long-winded way of basically explaining that I'm looking to see what's going on behind the candlesticks. I want to know everything that's happening in these candlesticks from a volume analysis perspective. And then I want to take that data and try and make sense of it so that I can create levels and create potential trade setups. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now in a nutshell. So let me show you kind of how it's evolved. This was kind of like the initial sheet, right, that I created. And, I got a summary here. I have a price story. I want to make sure that these are accurate. This is one way I check with the accuracy. So I'm giving all this data. Is it actually finding the correct data? And if it isn't, one of the challenges I had was there was a mismatch in time. So little issues like that can drive you nuts. That's why you put these checks in place. And then I have a price story doing the same thing. And then I have a bunch of levels down here. And eventually what I'm looking to do is come up with some potential trade setups and then game plan scenario. And the game plan scenario is like, if this happens, then that. So if we get acceptance below 25,700, this is for a different day. This is an old version. If we get acceptance below 25,700, target this and essentially look for liquidation. If we're doing this, look for a range day, so on and so forth. So this is the old version. Since I created this, I want to just show you how you can use AI to make your levels look better and make it more presentable so it's digestible. So that turns
Johnny,
into
real quick, your screen is a little bit blurry.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I don't know what to do.
Maybe you can just do a regular screen share.
What's that?
Oh, that makes sense too. You could just zoom in.
Yeah, I'll just zoom in. Sorry about that, guys, if it's blurry. But so this turned into this, right? And so I guess what I'm trying to display here is that once you get your data dialed in, then you can customize it to look however you want. And here you can see I have high impact news, no high impact news today. And then I have 3 potential setups with levels that were taken from order flow. And then the invalidation for that as well. Down here, this is the gameplay scenarios above 25,500, expansion towards supply, long focus, setup 1, so on and so forth. So this is just an example of how I'm using it to create this level sheet. And then I want to show you how the sort of my thought process and getting this process to be better. First of all, this might be a good chance to see, are there any questions out there? And then were you able to get a gauge on how experienced people are with AI? That
yeah, sure. So
cool. I see
32% of the people said yes.
Okay. And then no, 41%. See, so that's telling, right? So that makes me want to just kind of dig into doing some maybe simple prompting. So that some of the people who aren't familiar with it can at least get a gauge on how they might be able to use it and how useful it could be.
Before we do that, could you maybe rejoin and make sure that you join with the 4K setting on your webcam?
Yeah, give me one sec. Okay. Rejoin. You're talking about StreamYard?
Yeah, just rejoin.
Yep.
Okay. While Johnny's coming back, TFD is the best real prop. Thank you, Adam. Is it bad for a trader's psychology when they trade multiple assets in a trading day? Sometimes assets like silver too, which doesn't have a better move tied to day trading. Interesting question. I would break it down into two parts. Is it bad for a trader's psychology when they trade multiple assets? No, not at all. If that's a part of your strategy. But if you're just trading something else because you're essentially just looking for some other move or you're bored, then obviously no. Sometimes assets like silver too, which doesn't have a better move tied to day trading. Not really sure what that means. I do trade silver, and if it matches my strategy, I take the trade. If not, then I don't. So, long story short, if it matches your strategy, then you just take the trade. And your strategy should like clearly lay out if you're going to use multiple markets or not. It definitely is a little bit of a learning curve, trading multiple markets. I look at 12 markets. I don't trade all 12 of them at the same time. I might have 3 or 4 in play on a given day. But for me, I haven't noticed that it's bad for my psychology. It's actually better for my psychology because I have this abundance mindset where I have like so many markets, so many setups that could potentially come up. So it makes me be a little bit more selective. So I think it depends. If it's too much for you, then just stick to one market. You can absolutely make a killing on just one. So it doesn't really matter. Okay, Johnny, you're back.
I'm back. Is that better?
Oh yeah, that's a lot better, man.
Okay, cool.
If you could
Sorry
also
about.
zoom in just a touch, that would
Yeah,
be
I
like
gotcha.
perfect.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
So I don't know if yeah. Are there any other questions, or everybody good to go?
There's a few questions.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take them before we kind of dive in.
Yeah. Is it possible for AI to provide real-time accurate updates with specific numbers like volume breakout better than TradingView?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's better than TradingView because the raw data is the raw data, but what it can do is, for instance, do analysis on that real time data. So as close to real time as possible, I would say. I mean, there's going to be a little delay unless you have like a, an um, API call and a script that's that's attached to a real data feed. But I'll tell you what I've been pondering right now. So I'm downloading all this data, right? And it can happen at whatever frequency I want. And I'll show you the key level sheet. Let me answer your question directly. So can it get real-time data? Yes, let's say close to real-time data. I think the real use you'll get out of that functionality would be, can it analyze the data fast enough to where you can take action on it? I think is the real question to ask. And that depends on your system, right? So one stat, for instance, is that, kind of a basic stat for breakouts, kind of referring to your question here on breakouts. So if you have breakout candle, like a breakout candle on the 1 or 5 minute candle, you want to look for volume breaking out that's at least 50% of the previous candle. 100 to 200% is ideal. So in that scenario, maybe you have a volume precursor for your trade setup. And if you wanted to, you could, have a indicator that says, boom, it hit 50%, boom, it hit 100% or something like that. And that could be your trigger for getting in as long as everything else is supporting that move. So in that scenario, it's like you could see the volume on the chart, or you could, if you're kind of scatterbrained and all over the place, maybe AI could help you by giving you an indicator that says, it's above 50% or above 100%, 200%, so on and so forth of the previous candle, as long as it hits that breakout level, something like that. So, I mean, hope that answers your question. What you got next, Raj?
Okay. Follow-up question here. Thanks, Johnny. I got my question answered. I
Okay,
need
cool.
to define the parameters, and that can help.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And I think you'll see with some of the examples that I have here and the way I use it, you'll probably find a little bit of maybe you'll come up with some ideas of your own and how you could use it in your system.
Yep, makes sense.
Cool.
This is addressed to me. I meant to ask that silver is not a great asset to scalp. I can't really answer that because I don't really scalp. But make sure that you're on the most liquid expiry for silver. Um, yeah, just check all the expiries. I'm actually gonna probably make a script or do something with AI that helps me do that because that's a repetitive task I do often. Just check all the front month expiries and stuff like that. So, as for scalping, I could see it not being as good as NQ because obviously it's not that liquid. But yeah. Let's see if we have any other questions. This is why Asians are smarter than Indian. God damn it.
Oh, that's funny. Who is that from? Trading for Science. Firstly, that sounds very scientific.
Join Swarm said you could put snapshots of 1 minute, 5 minute into chat, and it can generate a report. Oh, 15 minute. You meant to say.
Yes. Yep, you can. And I would say if you actually get the real data, it's a lot better than having it visually analyzed because the real candlestick data is going to give you a lot more information.
Yep, for sure. Haven says, so my ChatGPT forgets things, even when I tell it to remember. How can I use its memory? Any hard limit?
Yeah, Haven. So here's what I would recommend, and I'll just go ahead and go into my ChatGPT here so you can see. So if I go into my project, this is what I would recommend. Making a project down here, over here. It's a little cut off here, but make a project right here, and then you'll want to go up to this button. I don't think you guys can see it, but the top right here, you can go into Edit Instructions. And now here you can see I have a pretty detailed prompt here. And this is how I want it to operate. You're my professional NQ futures order flow analyst with 2 modes. Analyst mode, generate daily trader die levels using uploaded order flow data prior session overnight, review the field guides, files, and the project storage. I'll go over what these are. Essentially what these are, the field guides. So I want it to remember all of the pertinent information about being an order flow analyst. So what I actually had it do was I had it do deep research. And this was one of the key points I wanted to talk to you guys about, is that you want your agent, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever the case may be, you want it to be educated. And I want it to be educated every time it looks at the data. I don't want it to forget that it's an order flow analyst. So essentially what I had it do was do deep research on order flow analysis and volume spread analysis, and put together essentially a report after it goes through, probably hundreds of different sources and learns about different order flow patterns, what you can anticipate from, specific levels that get swept, or where you have buyers trapped or sellers trapped, absorption levels, aggressive buyers and sellers coming out of the levels, so on and so forth. So it's a very, very in-depth paper that essentially it researched. So I have that attached in the files. So essentially I'm telling it to refer to this every single time I ask it for these levels, so it doesn't forget. And that's what I would recommend. I would recommend if you really want to work with this kind of intimately, work with it in a project so that you can continue to feed it information that it will remember. If I go to a new chat right now, it's not going to remember. It's not going to know any of this stuff because this is project specific. So to answer your question, or to answer or to address your issue of it not remembering, I would highly recommend you write a really detailed. So like if you go down, you can see like I have a lot of information in here about how I want things formatted, so on and so forth. And then in addition to that, when I go up to these files right here, I have these files, which are also in-depth information on either templatizing like the documents I want, or this has a year's worth of NQ data right here. This has range logic because I noticed that it was it had a range in here as a potential condition for a range day in one of my summaries of like a range of 10 points. And I was like, that's incorrect. I don't want to consider that a potential range. That would be chop that I don't really care about. So then I added this range logic that basically says, don't do that. You know, if you're going to have a range, it needs to be for these different kinds of levels, and it needs to be above like 30 to 40 points. Hopefully that answers your question. I think it should, but yeah, I would recommend creating a new project and getting really dialed in with the way you want to be interacting with it in this area right here, which is a project.
Perfect.
And then you can, yeah, cool. You can also attach Google Drive and things like that. But this is where I did deep research. So say, for instance, you want it to really understand trading or day trading or NQ futures, have it do deep research, then save that document and put it up here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to get to a few more questions, or do you want to circle back?
Yeah, no. That's cool. Let's get everybody's questions answered, and then I'll keep moving on.
Okay, cool. IRT trades. What tool do you use?
For what?
What AI tool?
Oh, yeah. So I kind of stick to ChatGPT, although I really like Claude. Claude is really good for coding, and it's really good for kind of complex, questions and coding. So I bounce back and forth, and there's kind of a funny example of that last night, right? So, and here's what I would recommend. I would recommend trying all of them. And if you get stuck on one, say for instance, you're trying to write some code and that code keeps throwing errors, take that progress that you made, take the code and put it into Grok or put it into Claude. Give another AI a chance at solving it. It's like getting fresh eyes, right? If you're working on a project and you're kind of running out of steam, sometimes some fresh eyes can kind of rejuvenate it. And that's exactly what happened to me last night when I was having some problems. I actually took my script, brought it over to Grok, and I might be able to pull up. I could probably pull it up. It might take me a second, but I'll just describe it. Essentially, I told Grok, I was like, hey, I want you to give me your best shot at improving this. Like I've been, and it was a script that was pulling the data, right? And so let me back up and tell you what the script was doing. The script was essentially pulling all the order flow data. And then after I pulled the order flow data, so it creates a spreadsheet automatically on my computer. And let me see if I can pull that up for you. So here we go. So these are days, and the script that I worked with AI to write, I had it, I basically point it to this folder, and every time it downloads, it creates its own date folder. So I don't have to do this. And then within this date folder, it will create 2 separate files automatically. And so when it creates these files, I have this data, which let me pull this up so you guys can see, because I'm going to do it before and after. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it will automatically pull up that or pull down that information. And then after I have it in that sheet, then I would have AI analyze the data to pull out key levels. And so I was thinking in my head, it gets a little messy, especially when you're trying to carry forward information. So I was trying to basically scratch that and say, when I pull this data, I want to automatically start analyzing it with script, not AI first. And that's a key distinguishing factor there. And I'll tell you why, because if you have it pull the data and you have AI analyzing it every time, you're going to get inconsistent results. If you hard code the analysis, basically saying a rules-based analysis that says, if we say have a bid, if we have a bid to offer 3-to-1, that shows an imbalance. And if you have that stacked, it shows that you have aggressive sellers, for instance. That's just one example. But when you do that and you have it analyze it every time, you're going to get mixed results. Whereas if you hard code it into the analysis, and I know this is kind of getting a little, in the weeds, but the point I'm trying to make is that I was trying to reset, the way I was analyzing data, because I was having a hard time getting consistent results. And so I brought the sheet over to Grok and basically said, hey, I want you to take this sheet and I want you to improve it. And I want you to make the best analysis sheet with the goal of creating good levels. And it might be helpful for me to actually pull that up. But first of all, I wanted to show you guys, this is what the sheet looked like, right? So it's pulling, the open, the high, the low, the close, volume, bar delta, cumulative delta, delta percent, max ask volume, so on and so forth. I'll scroll over just so you guys see all of it. Did it make a new high? Did it make a new low? High, negative delta, so on and so forth. So this is what it was doing. And this is what I brought to Grok. And I prompted Grok and basically said, hey, I'm challenging you to make this better than it already is. I'm giving you carte blanche to make any suggestions on how to improve this so that I can aggregate data for analysis more successfully than it's already doing. Because at this point, again, I'm having AI and analyze the sheet, and it's not providing consistent results. So I'll show you what it got to after I talked to Grok. After I talked to Grok, it not only downloads that sheet, but then it produces this sheet. This sheet it's the shit. This sheet has everything that I want to see. We have different conditions here: resistance, bullish imbalance, point of control. You'll see in here, and I would be happy to go through some of these. What you'll notice is these levels are spot on. These are spot on because it's taken directly from order flow. And if you sort it by time and you go, and it also gives it a ranking here. You see this score based on a ton of different parameters. Why are these important levels? And so the higher the score, the more confidence in that level. And you'll see that these really high scored levels are phenomenal levels. They're really great levels. And you'll see reversals happen out of these levels, and they can be used again, so on and so forth. But what I was trying to illustrate was that sometimes you take the data that you have or what you've created with one AI, and it's healthy and beneficial to take it to another AI to see if they can improve it. So I know that was a very long-winded answer on what AI I use, but I use a bunch of different ones. If I'm getting stuck on one, like for instance, I was getting a lot of errors with this script with Grok. Like he took it 99% of the way, Grok did, and then I put it back in ChatGPT and it was able to fix it with one prompt, right? So I was getting stuck on Grok where it was throwing errors in NinjaTrader over and over. So it did it about 5 times. And then eventually I took the script and gave it back to ChatGPT and he fixed it. So I say he, maybe it's a she. But anyway, so hopefully that answers your question. I bounce around from different AIs. Sometimes I use 2 at the same time to make sure I'm getting accurate data. And then I'm using a third one to check it. So I bounce around. Long-winded answer to the question. Do you have another one for me, Raj?
Yeah, great answer. Here's another one about AI itself. How do you avoid it agreeing with you every time, ego boosting you, or providing fake data just to agree with you rather than saying you're wrong? Deal with it.
That's a really, really good question, because if you don't set the right expectations, your AI will just be a yes man and it'll say you're right all the time, even if you're not right. So you have to commit it in memory. And even in regular ChatGPT, you can go into the memory settings. Let's see, where is it down here? You go into, I think it's personalization. And then here you go. Custom instructions, nickname, occupation, more about you. And fill in those details because it matters. And then you'll basically essentially say, this is what I want you, how I want you to communicate with me. And say that you want it to be harshly honest. Don't sugarcoat anything. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I can be doing things better, let me know. So that's what I would do if I were you, to avoid the yes man ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, cool. Let me just see if there's any other questions. Any idea to optimize prompts for best answer results?
Any idea to optimize prompts for AI for best answer results? Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's going to come with experience. I found that the best way to get the best answers out of AI typically is to be very direct to the point, what you're looking for. Make sure to nudge it and say, no speculation. And then on top of that, the best answers as it relates to trading, the best answers are going to become by data driven analytics, right? So if you're asking it, what is your opinion on today's price action? It's going to give you, and every single person's chat GPT is probably going to give different answers, but that's why you guide it to give good answers by backing it with data. And that's a huge portion of, best practices for me, is making sure that I'm not relying on it to get me the data. I want to do all of the heavy lifting on the data, even though I've automated that process and made it easy. I want to give it the best input to get the best output. So if you want to get good outputs that can, eventually turn into potential trade ideas or just to help you with your trade analysis, make sure that you are providing the data. And that's probably the best answer I could give you, because there are a lot of ways that you can modify what you're saying to get the right answer. But a lot of that comes down to working with the AI enough to where what you need to say to get the right answers for your particular goal.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Let's take one more question and then we'll circle back.
Cool.
How do I backtest with ChatGPT if I'm a beginner
in coding?
Oh,
Yeah, so I'll be honest. It gets a little bit difficult if you're backtesting. So first of all, you need to have a reliable way to get the backtest results, and then you can optimize later. What I would recommend is, if you want to start backtesting, start with something simple so you get the hang of it. If you're not familiar with coding, you need to ask ChatGPT to give you the full code. And I would probably recommend starting with TradingView and PineScript, because you can write a backtesting script in PineScript. Let's say you wanted to take like a 50 EMA bounce, where if it's coming in from the top side, you're going to take it long. So then you would describe this in layman's terms to ChatGPT. And again, this is where it can become a time sink. If you're not familiar with coding, which I have a little bit of experience with it, but not a lot at all. And to be honest with you, when it's spitting out code at me, I'm not paying attention to each and everything that it's spitting out, because it's hundreds of lines of code. What I'm looking for is for it to be able to test and run without having any issues. And then I'm looking at the result to see if I need to give ChatGPT feedback. So you're vibe coding. And it's totally possible. It might take you a little more time. And I know there are probably a lot of programmers out there that are saying that they could do it a hell of a lot better themselves. And I believe you. But for us out there that aren't coders, this is the next best thing. And it opens up a lot of opportunities for people, because if you don't know how to code, some of the stuff is impossible. So back to your question, how do you backtest with ChatGPT? I would recommend you start talking to ChatGPT about coding in PineScript, which is TradingView's coding language. And if you can talk to ChatGPT and describe what your strategy is, more than likely through iterations, you'll be able to get the code you need to put into PineScript so that you can start backtesting. But again, before you come up with some super complicated strategy that's, that you want to break even, a trailing stop, you want an entry on an order block, mitigation after a bounce off the 50 EMA, so on and so forth. Before you do that, start with something simple so that how the process works with the back testing, and then slowly iterate with ChatGPT instead of throwing everything all at once, because that can cause frustration. Essentially, bugs on bugs, with the code, for instance. If you complicate it, start with something simple, get the code, make sure it works, make sure it's accurate. And how are you going to make sure it's accurate? If it compiles and then you get the results that you want, then I would say, it might be good enough to move forward, but then have it review the code, even put that code in Grok, tell it what your prompt was, and then have another AI double check that AI's work. So again, point is, keep it simple first. Try and get some experience with it so you understand roughly how it works before you start adding things in. And then when you start adding things in, make sure you're doing it one at a time. Don't throw in 10 new variables for it to do from a functionality standpoint, and then expect the code to be good. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not, and you'll end up wasting more time than you need to.
Good answer. For some reason, your screen has gone back to being blurry. I'm not sure.
Oh boy. Do I need to exit?
I mean, it's not as blurry as last time. Maybe just zoom in more a little.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. Yep, that looks a lot better. All right. I think we can circle back to the questions towards the end. Keep your questions coming, guys. We're gonna get to them.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So, where was I? I was kind of talking about the iteration process. Look, this is number one, and it turned into this, and I'm still, fine tuning and updating. And then from the key level standpoint, this is what it started off as, and then it eventually, moved to this, and this brought me to my next kind of idea for what I want to do with this data. And this was last night, and I'm happy to follow up with everybody to show them how it's going to work. But my thought is that I want to use this in real time, right? So I'm streaming. I'm essentially downloading this data, and then I'm getting these observations based on the data, and then I could very easily create an indicator that spits out alerts. And while I don't want to rely completely on alerts or anything to take trades to enter, but it is nice to know when you have something that's pretty damn reliable. If you're trying to take a long at a breakout and then you see that buyers are trapped in there from this thing, trapped buyers at high delta, that this can be a counterbalance to your discretionary trade. Right. So you might think twice about that, or you might even take it short. And what I can tell you is, like, some of these signals are very reliable, so that if it were to show up in real time and I'm trying to long something, I would immediately close it out and potentially flip. So that's kind of my idea of where I want to continue to take this, is start building out an indicator that can essentially just display this information. And real quick, just to give you guys an example of one of the things I've done with AI, for my streams, is if I'm taking a trade, and this is basically for stream. So we had some absorption right there. Let's say I enter right here. I'm thinking, oh, we're going to bounce. And when we start moving up, watch my screen, what happens. I'll just see if I can get a green close. So we had absorption down here, anticipating we might bounce up. But as you can see, price action has been pretty bearish. But I think we can get a bounce and a green close right here. So I'm going to close this. So watch what I did with AI. When I close this, you'll see an animation on the screen. This is what happened last time when I was trying to show this animation. We kept going in the wrong direction. But let's see if I can get this. I think we could pop right here real quick, and I'll just close it as soon as it gets green. So watch the animation, and then my daily goal and weekly goal. You'll see that update as well. Okay, so you see that, how I have an animation there, fireworks, and then my daily goal and my weekly goal updates. So that's just another example of one of the ways that I use AI. So I used AI to essentially code all of that. So I have a script that's running in the background that is monitoring my P&L, monitoring every trade I take. And it will display the P&L right there on the screen pretty much instantly. So that's another way that I use it. And that's like, it's not a super technical thing. It is because I had to use AI to code it. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can get creative with it. And with like the capabilities of it, the way I think about it is it's essentially an employee that costs $20 a month. And ChatGPT, like, you have I've been working it to death, and I haven't hit limits on it. Grok, however, I pay for the premium Grok, and I hit a limit last night after using it for some code just a few times. So pretty disappointed with the usage limits on Grok. Again, I would also check out Claude, but just wanted to show you guys that example of how, you might be able to use it for yourself, or creating something that's just might not be useful to everybody, but useful to you. I know we wanted to get into some of these to prompts. But I don't know if that's going to be super helpful. Let me know in the chat if you guys want to see some live prompting or if you have any other questions. I kind of wanted to go over how I'm using AI and wanted to see if I could help you guys, if you guys have ideas with using AI. But if I can avoid, kind of getting in here and stalling the stream by chatting with ChatGPT and waiting 5 minutes for a response or whatever, I will. So, Raj, do we have any more questions, or anybody have any requests for me to go over, how I do things or how we could potentially do things?
Yeah. So you just got a question. How do you use it for journaling?
Yeah, for journaling, honestly, it's great because it gives you feedback. So if you tell it that your goals for every single day are to not take more than 5 trades, for instance, that would be there's manual work that goes into using it as a journal. But if you say you have a journal project with ChatGPT and you're like, here's what I want to do. My biggest problems right now are that I'm over trading. I'm taking too much size when I'm over trading and it's ruining my P&L. So that's what I want to focus on right now. If you're journaling with it every day and you say, every day when I talk to you, I want you to ask me, how many trades did I take today? Or, better yet, you could have a download of all your trades and you could just feed it to it. And then it can give you real-time feedback on that. It'll say, hey, you said you wanted to take less than 5 trades. I saw that you took 7. Here are some things you can do to prevent yourself from over trading once you hit that 5 mark. And it'll get creative with you. It'll say that, after every trade, you might need to step away from the keyboard, do some push-ups, or, take your mind off of trading for at least, 1 minute so that it breaks the cycle of over trading. So that's one example of how you could use it for journaling. You can do it. You could journal, for instance, with your good trades, your bad trades. If you have a bad trade, you could show it your trade, say, this is my weakness right now, is that I tend to take breakout trades right at the top level, and it ends up, failing and being a fake breakout. It'll give you ideas on how you might be able to work on that. And then it says, let's say, for instance, it says, well, what you want to do is you want to wait for volume to indicate that it's above 50% of the previous candle. So let's start tracking your trades and how much volume you have on your breakout trades, and this might help you. Does that make sense? And then on top of that, it's a kind of a stream of consciousness type of conversation you can have with it. And I can tell you one of the really good uses I got out of it was, trying to understand where, some of the tilt factors come into play with myself. And, a lot of it resulted in me having an understanding that there's a side of my personality, and I'm sure all you guys out there can probably relate to this. There's a side of my personality that's aggressive, that likes high octane activities, that wants to risk it for the biscuit, that wants to go for the home runs. And after, deep diving with ChatGPT along a lot and reading The Mental Game of Trading, which is a must read, I think, for any trader, I came to realize that side of my personality is not suitable for trading at all times. It doesn't mean I have to ignore it. And I think I've talked about this in previous interviews, but essentially, it helped me realize that side of my personality can actually benefit trading, but not if it has full control. Because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are always the person in full control, not the little demon sitting on your shoulder telling you, push the button, go in deeper. But that side of your personality can benefit your trading if you push it at the right time, you get aggressive at the right time. But if it fails, you put it in timeout. So that's an example of me talking with ChatGPT for a long time, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Well, I'm tying my identity to my P&L. I'm tying my identity to winning or losing this trade. That can send me on tilt. That part of my personality that gets defensive, it can also be egoic. It can be that, you want to prove to people that you can trade. You want to prove to people that you can do this. And that becomes a trigger for your fight or flight response. And recognizing all those things, came from having these kind of deep conversations. It's funny. I'd be sitting here, and I had it on voice mode. I'd be sitting here in my office talking to ChatGPT, and my girlfriend walks in, and it's like, who are you talking to? I'm sitting there talking to ChatGPT about my own personal psychological issues with trading. And I did that for hours and hours and hours. And I found it to be extremely beneficial. It ran me through some sort of psychology tests back and forth. And that's one of the great things about it, is it's interactive, right? So if you're like, I want to explore this about this bad side of my personality, you can do that without judgment, right? Depending on your settings. If you want it to judge you, have it judge you. But the point being is that, like, us as traders, we can talk to other traders about this, but typically don't talk to your spouse or your significant other, because they're not going to understand it. Talking to ChatGPT, I think could really be helpful for a lot of people to be able to express what the problems are, and then come up with potential solutions and say, hey, this is something I'm willing to talk to you about every single day. I'll talk to you every morning. I'll talk to you every afternoon. And for the people that have been through this process before, it's one of the hardest things that you're going to have to overcome in trading. So you should be dedicating time to this. And while you're doing everything else, like reading trading psychology books, having something like this to check in on you every single day, where you're giving progress reports on it, or you could even have it reach out at 10 a.m. and say, hey, are you over trading? And you can answer no. But the results you're going to get out of this thing are only going to be as good as the effort you're putting in. So if you say, hey, I'm going to set up this system, check in on me at 10, and then you don't check in, you don't give it any feedback, well, you're not really getting any feedback from it. So hope that answered your question about journaling. I'm sure you guys can tell I could talk about this stuff for days.
Yeah, for sure. I just got a message on my desktop pop up saying Claude will return soon, and it's currently down. Interesting.
Oh, really? So this here's an example right here. You see my daily goal here. It says negative 4,399. That's some sort of glitch. I have a spreadsheet that downloads my stuff, and yeah. So let's fix it. Let's see if we can fix it. Next question.
Okay. Convict wants to know, how can a scalper benefit from this? Just in AI and trading in general.
Yeah. So, I take a lot of scalps, and the best scalps that I take are based off of key levels. You can read order flow, you can read price action, and you can get some good scalps, but the best scalps that you're going to get that could potentially turn into runners are going to be off of key levels, right? Like this 25,000 level. You can see we have absorption down here, absorption over here. You can see we're accumulating down here. And my guess for this was that we were going to start rounding out and potentially start moving up. But 25,000 being a key level, if you're taking scalps on this, look at the potential success rate you could have if you're taking this up and then waiting for it to pull back. Then you're taking it up, and you're just scalping maybe 30 points each time. So I would say, from a scalper standpoint, finding very good key levels is probably going to be the best thing you could do.
Perfect. Great answer. Let's take a look what we got. I once asked a prompt to help me make a better prompt. Yep.
That's a great 100%. So that's I do that all the time. Tell me how to talk to you. Give me the best way to talk to you.
For sure. Have you ever worked on training deep learning models for automated trading?
No, I have not, but I would be interested. If you're out there and you're doing that, please hit me up, because I'd be really interested in seeing what you got going on.
Yep. Someone asked if you have a YouTube channel, by the way, earlier.
Yeah, so I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't use it. I stream on Twitch and Kick because they don't care what kind of music I play. And so if you want to find me, either find me on X, it's TraderDieX. You can see on that code down there, TraderDieX. I'm on X somewhat frequently, but most of my time is spent on stream, and that's on Twitch or Kick. And I stream every day live.
Perfect. I started journaling thanks to TFD.
Nice.
The best place. You don't have to go anywhere else. Yep. Thank you very much. There's a question about what those bubbles are on your screen.
Ah, yep. The bubbles here are, so these are big orders. So you can set the size for how big you want the orders to be to actually show up. But essentially, what we're looking at is aggressive orders. So, for instance, these big bubbles you can see right here. This is like one order for 192 contracts right here, and you can see that price did not move from that area. So this helps me understand where is price being accepted and where is it being rejected. So you can see there's a buy order here. So big buyers stepped in right at this level, 25,110. Oh, sorry, let me move this over. 25,110, and you can see it immediately rejected. So we absorbed this, and you can see buyers and buying at this price level is not being accepted above here. So it's rejecting. So, you know, there's two ways to look at it. One is when you have big orders come into the market and they're accepted, like these sell orders, right? Price is moving down, price is moving down. And as people are selling at lower prices, it's being accepted. As it is retracing up here and people are trying to push price higher, you have big buyers stepping in, that is rejected, which is telling that this right here is a bearish signal. All these are bearish signals because price continues to move lower and break through all these areas. Now, you can use this level right here where it was previously rejected as a future key level. So if I just put a, you know, line out here, let me go like this, put a line out here. Now I know this is a really key level because we were rejected here. You can see buyers tried to push price up and they failed. So now if we get up here to 25.10, I might essentially be zooming in over here to see what's going on over here. Is this going to blast through this area or are we getting held up here? Hopefully that makes sense.
Yep. By the way, guys, there's only 5 minutes left to enter the giveaway. The link is pinned at the top of the YouTube chat.
Cool.
Do you want more questions?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm yeah, I didn't really have a whole bunch of content planned for today. I kind of plan on answering questions and going over how I'm using AI. So I'm kind of free right now for questions.
Do you think trading makes it easier now that we have ChatGPT and Grok available?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that trading is ever easy, but I think what it can do is help reduce your workload so that you free up more of your time to spend on, you know, the things that are important for analysis. So for instance, you know, if I'm digging through spreadsheets to find all these levels, right? The days passed, and now I'm essentially going back and reviewing everything that happened at each level, and I'm trying to analyze that. That's going to take a lot of mental capital. So here's what I would say about that question. Does it make trading easier? I don't know if I have a clear answer for that, but it makes only you know what's going to help your trading, and it makes accomplishing those things on a daily basis potentially easier to deal with, right? So if I really care about order flow levels, and I have ChatGPT doing most of the heavy lifting after it gets the data, and I'll tell you this much: the amount of analysis that it's able to do. I could have it analyzing this data every second of every day, you know, if it weren't for usage limits, and it'll keep going. If I'm doing that myself, I'm going to get worn out after, you know, hour 12. So for me, it depends on how you're using AI. It can take some of the mundane things out of AI. It can simplify and automate some of the processes that you have in your trading schedule. For instance, you know, finding the macroeconomic data, you know, checking and looking at sentiment after news was released, for instance. So I think there are so many different uses that can make your life easier as a trader, and it depends on how you use it. And really the biggest determining factor is how are you actually using it on a personalized basis for your trading routine.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Do you collaborate at all? I've been playing with AI and available data sets to try and sculpt strategies or confluences. I really like seeing what you've got so far.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks, Zomgasm. I would definitely be down. So, I don't I have a buddy that, I'm developing an automated strategy with right now, but I'll tell you what, like I'm definitely open to it. If you're working on this kind of stuff, I'm definitely down to chat with you. I have a Discord you can hop in, or we could just chat on like a Zoom call or whatever. But yeah, please hit me up. Definitely interested in it.
Cool. Convict asks, so if I wanted to see how often retracements happen at a certain time, can it help work a strategy around that?
1000%. 1000%. So if you're, that's a beautiful thing about, downloading all this candlestick data is that, let's say you have a year's worth of candlestick data and you have a particular time every single day that you're trying to find similarities in price action. You can absolutely do that. You could say, look at 10 a.m. Eastern time for every single day over the past year and tell me from the opening price at 10 a.m. to, 10:10, I want to know the average either gain or loss between those times. Something like that. You build the logic around it step by step to first identify, if there's an opportunity, and then build the logic around finding how to execute on that opportunity.
Yep, perfect. Okay, we can answer one more question and then we'll go to the giveaway. There's a follow-up question. How do you download the data on the previous part one?
On the previous part one, so I specifically I built a script, and let's see if I can pull up that script. I built a script to pull the data, and of course I built it with AI. So this is the script that pulls it, and essentially I use this script as a strategy on price action. So if you look over here, let me change the view real quick. Over here, so if I right click over here, I hit strategy, I add it to this footprint chart, and essentially what it's doing is taking all the data that it takes to generate this chart, right? So if it has levels on here, bid volume, ask volume, all this information down here, it has to basically have that to display it. And so I'm capturing it with this. So what I'll do is I'll add this strategy to this chart, and then I just hit enable, and it will generate a new sheet, and I can put the data in that I want to download here, and it'll download it to my hard drive automatically. And if you're wanting to get some candlestick data, you can go to barcharts.com. I think they have a free trial or something where you can get, you can get many years worth of data. Barchart.com. And then also I know you can export data from TradingView, but I think it's pretty limited based on what you can visibly see on the chart.
Cool. Does it show direction?
Does what show direction?
I assume he means your AI analysis.
Yeah. So let me pull up that level sheet. It essentially what it's doing is it'll capture this delta right here. So this delta will, and based on surrounding candles and movement beyond this, which I do have it have the ability to do. So if it hits a level, and let's say delta flips, right? And let's see, let me see if I can find one. Max negative, no, that's not it. Delta flip at extreme. Trap buyers at high, delta flip at extreme. So this would be bearish, right? Because we have negative delta, we have an extreme, and delta's flipping from positive to negative. So that would be an example of directional bias within the order flow data that gets captured.
Cool. All right. Let us go to the giveaway, but before we do that, we do have a 70% off sale, up to 70% off with code TraderDieX. So there you go, guys. Let's go to the giveaway.
Cool.
All right. You're going to pronounce these names?
Let's do it.
This is for a $200 TFT credit.
Yo, congratulations, Sung Yong Chun. I think I got that.
Sounds good. We'll do one more.
Joseph Gangle.
Perfect. All right. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I just want to, thank you for having me on. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and feel free to connect with me. I'm on X. I'm on. Can I display something in chat? I'll put my
Sure.
my Discord in here if people want to join, and of course I'm streaming every day, and our Discord is pretty small, tight knit group, but for all you people working on these kind of fun projects and stuff, I'd love to connect with you. And let me just put that link in here. If you guys want to join, please feel free to join. We're just always talking about trading, and it's a good way to stay connected. So let me put that in chat down here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. There you go. Oh, wait, that's studio chat. Do I need to change that to comments?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just having to log in real quick.
I'll just paste it for you.
Okay, right on. I'll send it to you.
There we go. That is the Discord link right there. I'll leave that up for a few seconds.
Cool.
And
well, sounds
that
good,
link
guys.
never expires, hopefully.
Say that again.
Did you set that link to never expire?
I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Discord.
When you invite, there's a little toggle that you could do.
Okay.
So the link won't expire.
It says your invite link expires in 7 days. And edit invite link.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do never. Yeah, let me generate a new link. Here we go. Boom. Yeah. So, guys, my goal for streaming is for accountability and to connect with other traders like yourself. And, just trying to build a good community of people that care about making money and helping other people make money as well in trading, because this thing's hard, If you guys have been trading for a while, it's one of the hardest things you could do in your life. And, we're all going through it. We all have struggles going through it. And I certainly am there to help any way I can, because I find that to be rewarding. And,
where'd you paste the link, by the way?
Where did I post it? Oh, I did it. I did it. It showed up gray, but let me send it to you, and then you can repost it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's rewarding, and would love to connect with you guys and see what kind of projects you're working on, and grow as a community. Let's make some money.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for hopping on. Like a lot of people said, it's really, really crazy the amount of insights that you can gain from someone who's like been doing this, using all the features that you have available to you. I was not utilizing project files before, but since our last conversation, I've been using it, and it's been helping.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a quick reminder about those. Oh, Trader Dude, yeah, you're very welcome. Happy to do it. Just a real quick note on anybody looking to use those project files in your AI. Just wanted to remind you to when you have, like, when you get too full on your instructions for the AI, make sure you create other documents and then connect and then attach those files so that you're not limited on, the must know information that the AI is having to know every time you talk to it. Just a quick reminder.
Perfect. And if that link doesn't work for you, just go to Johnny's X, which is linked in the description, and you can find him there. And you can find his Discord that way too.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. Glad you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys.